This is my F20 Cane tractor. I bought this tractor for $400 when I was 19 years old, and it was a basket case. Everything needed to be rebuilt. So I rebuilt the engine, the Heisler overdrive, recored the radiator, new tires, but it's been 20 years or more, so you need new tires again at some point. Had the starter and generator rebuilt, and transmission repairs, carburetor, magneto, and we'll mention some special features this tractor has. It has a cane tractor axle on it with mud scrapers. I had to replace the crank shaft, so I went ahead and put a stainless rod in there. Added a grease fitting to grease it. Rebuilt the steering gearbox. Repaired the air cleaner. Got a rebuilt carburetor on it, and these carburetors for this engine has high compression pistons, new old stock sleeves, new old stock rings, and the high compression pistons run better with the larger Venturi and main jet in that carburetor. This carburetor has the brass choke arm on it. It's got a gas manifold, spark arrestor that stops sparks from setting your barn on fire, which is pretty handy, and an elbow to deflect the sound away from the operator. It's easier to get these heavy-duty clamps tight enough it doesn't leak, because these are common leak sources on these. It's got the temperature gauge. This is the Heisler overdrive. The universal joint between the engine and the transmission, and rebuilt the clutch, was missing. So I added a double roller chain like the Massey Harris tractors have. Made the cover, cut the sheet metal for this, rebuilt the louver assembly in the front. It's got the extension on the PTO lever, which is a curse and handy at the same time. It's easy to bump, but it's handy to use. It's got the Heisler starter on it, which is an accessory from Heisler. And I added this electrical box, and it's to run the electrical on the tractor, which isn't original, but it's well done. So it's got the fenders on it, 2 sets of weights. A full set of weights is 3 weights, and I've got all on each side, and I've got 3 sets of weights for this tractor, but it's just too much weight with 3 weights on each side, so I only put 2 on there. And it's got the PTO extension on it, so it'll run a brush hog much easier. This box is actually a box for a white half track that I bought at a show. The seat was rusted out. I made a plate on the bottom, hammered the dimples in here with sockets, welded it on, and it's got the brake pedals and the brake levers. The louver control rod was missing, so I went ahead and bent one of those out of stainless rod. And the head on the tractor was cracked, so replaced the head, new valves, new valve guides. It's got the generator. The generator was just rusted away, so I had the generator rebuilt. This has the bracket. If you wondered what the flat spot on your block is on a regular or an F20, it's for the bracket to hold the magneto when you have this generator. And then you have a cast housing on the governor. I had to rebuild the governor as well. It has a gear in there to drive a distributor. And this doesn't have the right distributor on it. But at some point I'll find the right distributor and put on there. So everything was worn out. The start crank, bearing assembly, everything was worn. The cables were rusted away. All of the bearings were shot, and pins and everything worn out on the axle. So I had to make some of those pins. But now the tractor runs really good. And it's got an electric starter, although it'll start with a hand crank fairly easily. We're going to make sure it's in neutral. We're going to make sure the spark's not too advanced. And idle's at the top of this position. And we're going to start this up. I did drive it 50 feet from the barn to here, but it starts easily every time. So I thought you'd like this tractor because it's very uncommon and you don't see too many of these. Okay.